Dramatic claim is spreading fast online right now. It says the U.S. Senate has voted 68-32 to convict and remove President Donald Trump, and that the president is refusing to accept the verdict. If that were true, it would be one of the most explosive moments in American political history. A sitting president removed by a bipartisan supermajority, a constitutional crisis unfolding in real time. But tonight we're doing what viral headlines don't. We're slowing this story down, checking the facts, and separating what's real from what's being pushed online. Because the truth is this: that headline is not accurate. And once you understand how the system actually works, it becomes clear why. Let's start with the basics. Donald Trump is currently the sitting president of the United States. That matters because removing a president is only legally possible if that person is actively in office. So in theory, yes, a removal could happen, but only through a very specific, highly public constitutional process. Under the U.S. Constitution, removing a president requires 3 steps, and all 3 must happen in order. First, the House of Representatives must vote to impeach the president. That vote is public, recorded, and reported across the country and the world. Impeachment begins with articles of impeachment drafted by House committees, often after extensive investigations. Witnesses may be called, documents reviewed, and debates held on the floor. Only after a simple majority vote does the president become impeached, which is essentially the equivalent of an indictment in criminal law. Second, the United States Senate must hold a formal impeachment trial. Senators act as jurors, weighing evidence, listening to arguments, and ultimately deciding whether the president is guilty of the charges brought by the House. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court presides over the trial. These trials are typically televised, documented, and impossible to miss. Every procedural step is recorded for the public record. Third, and most critical, at least 2/3 of the Senate, 67 senators, must vote to convict. Only after that threshold is met can the president be removed from office. None of this happens quietly, overnight, or behind closed doors. Every stage is highly visible and immediately reported by multiple media outlets. So for that viral headline to be accurate, several things would have to happen simultaneously. There would need to be a recent House impeachment vote. There hasn't been one. There would need to be an active Senate trial. There isn't one. And there would need to be an official roll call vote showing 68 senators voting to convict. No such vote exists. Every Senate vote is recorded. Every roll call is archived. A vote removing a sitting president would instantly dominate national and international news. Financial markets would react. World leaders would issue statements. The White House would operate in emergency mode. None of that happened. So where did the 68-32 number come from? This is where misinformation thrives. Often, numbers like this are lifted from unrelated Senate votes, sometimes on legislation, procedural motions, or committee decisions, and then reframed to sound like something else entirely. Other times, they come from hypothetical commentary where someone says, "What if the Senate voted this way?" And that speculation later gets reposted as fact. In some cases, it's even simpler: fabricated thumbnails, AI-generated scripts, or deliberately misleading titles designed to trigger clicks and emotional reactions. On platforms like YouTube, outrage travels faster than verification. A shocking headline spreads, other creators copy it, and before long, a claim feels real simply because it's everywhere. But repetition is not confirmation. To better understand why this claim is misleading, let's review President Trump's actual impeachment history, because that context is often confused or misrepresented. Trump has faced impeachment twice. The first time was in 2019, involving allegations related to foreign influence and the Ukraine matter. The House voted to impeach him, but the Senate held a trial, and the vote did not reach the required 2/3 threshold for conviction. The second impeachment came in 2021, following the January 6th Capitol events. Again, the Senate trial resulted in a vote of 57 senators in favor of conviction, 10 votes short of removal. No U.S. president has ever been removed from office by Senate conviction. Not Andrew Johnson in 1868, not Bill Clinton in 1999, and not Donald Trump. The system is designed to require broad consensus before removing a sitting president, which is why the 68-32 claim should immediately raise red flags. That margin would represent one of the most dramatic political shifts in modern American history, and it simply did not happen. Now, what about the second part of the viral claim that President Trump is refusing to accept the verdict? There is no verdict to refuse because there was no trial, no conviction, and no removal. That kind of language is often used to heighten drama, to imply chaos, or to suggest a breakdown of democratic order. But it's built entirely on an event that never occurred. Why does this matter beyond accuracy? False claims about Senate convictions and presidential removals undermine public trust. They blur the line between real constitutional crises and invented ones. They make it harder for viewers to recognize actual breaking news when it truly happens. A real removal of a sitting president would look unmistakable. You would see live coverage from the Capitol, emergency statements from the White House, immediate legal challenges, Supreme Court involvement, global reaction. It would not appear first as a vague headline floating around social media with no official confirmation. Understanding this context also shows why verifying information matters. Viewers can protect themselves by asking simple questions. Did the House actually vote to impeach? Did the Senate conduct a trial? Are there official records of a roll call vote? Can independent, reputable outlets confirm this story? If the answer is no to any of these, then the claim is false. We can also consider the implications if such a vote had actually happened. Removing a sitting president would create massive political, economic, and social repercussions. Financial markets would respond instantly. Domestic governance would be disrupted. International allies and adversaries would issue immediate reactions. Emergency legal and constitutional measures would take effect. That kind of upheaval is impossible to hide or stage. Now let's step back and reflect on why viral misinformation spreads so effectively. Social media algorithms prioritize engagement, clicks, shares, reactions, not accuracy. Outrageous or dramatic claims are more likely to be amplified than verified news. When users see the same claim repeated across multiple channels, it gains a sense of legitimacy simply through repetition. But as responsible viewers, understanding process, evidence, and verification is crucial. So what should you do when you see a claim like this? First, check primary sources, the official U.S. Senate roll call statements from the House or press releases from the White House. Second, cross-check multiple credible outlets. Third, pay attention to the language. Words like refuses or explosive are often cues that a story is being sensationalized. Fourth, understand historical context. Impeachment is rare, conviction is rarer, and removal has never happened in modern American history. Let's be absolutely clear as we close. There has been no Senate vote of 68-32 to convict President Donald Trump. There has been no Senate conviction. There has been no removal from office. And there has been no refusal to accept a verdict. The headline going viral right now is false. This is exactly why verification matters more than volume. In a world where misinformation spreads faster than facts, taking the time to slow down, check the records, and understand the process is how we stay informed and keep our democracy healthy. If you want political news that's checked before it's amplified, explained instead of exaggerated, and grounded in what actually happened, not just what sounds dramatic, make sure you're subscribed. And if you saw this claim online, comment below and tell us where you saw it. Because in today's news landscape, understanding process and facts isn't just useful, it's essential theory. Yes, a removal could happen, but only through a very specific and very public constitutional process. Under the U.S. Constitution, removing a president requires 3 steps, and all 3 must happen in order. First, the House of Representatives must vote to impeach the president. That vote is public, recorded, and immediately reported across the country and the world. Second, the United States Senate must hold a formal impeachment trial. Senators act as jurors. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court presides. The trial is televised, documented, and impossible to miss. Third, and most important, at least 2/3 of the Senate, 67 senators, must vote to convict. Only then can a president be removed from office. None of this happens quietly, none of it happens overnight, and none of it can be hidden. So let's walk through what would have to be true for that viral headline to be real. There would need to be a recent House impeachment vote. There hasn't been one. There would need to be an active Senate trial. There isn't one. There would need to be an official roll call vote showing 68 senators voting to convict. No such vote exists. Every Senate vote is recorded. Every roll call is archived. A vote removing a sitting president would instantly dominate national and international news. Financial markets would react. World leaders would issue statements. The White House would be in emergency mode. None of that happened. So where did the 6832 number come from? This is where misinformation tends to thrive. Often, numbers like this are lifted from unrelated Senate votes, sometimes on legislation, sometimes on procedural motions, and then reframed to sound like something else entirely. Other times, they come from hypothetical commentary where someone says, "What if the Senate voted this way?" And that speculation later gets reposted as fact. In some cases, it's even simpler than that. Fabricated thumbnails, AI-generated scripts, or deliberately misleading titles designed to trigger clicks and emotional reactions. On platforms, outrage travels faster than verification. A shocking headline spreads, other creators copy it, and before long, a claim feels real simply because it's everywhere. But repetition is not confirmation. Let's talk about Trump's actual impeachment history, because this often gets confused. Donald Trump has faced impeachment before. In his earlier presidency, he was impeached twice by the House of Representatives. In both cases, the Senate held trials, and in both cases, the Senate did not reach the two-thirds majority required for conviction. The closest the Senate ever came was a vote of 57 senators in favor of conviction. That was still 10 votes short of removal. No U.S. president has ever been removed from office by Senate conviction. Not Andrew Johnson, not Bill Clinton, and not Donald Trump. So when you hear a claim that a president was suddenly convicted 6832, that alone should raise red flags. That margin would represent one of the most dramatic political shifts in modern American history. It would not happen without wall-to-wall coverage. Now, what about the second part of the claim, that President Trump is refusing to accept the verdict? There is no verdict to refuse, because there was no trial, no conviction, no removal. That language is often used to heighten drama, to imply chaos, or to suggest a breakdown of democratic order. But it's built on an event that never occurred. This matters for more than just accuracy. False claims about Senate convictions and presidential removals undermine public trust. They blur the line between real constitutional crises and invented ones. And they make it harder for people to recognize actual breaking news when it truly happens. A real removal of a sitting president would look unmistakable. You would see live coverage from the Capitol, emergency statements from the White House, immediate legal challenges, Supreme Court involvement, global reaction. It would not appear first as a vague headline floating around social media with no official confirmation. So how can viewers protect themselves from claims like this? Start with the process. Ask whether the steps required by the Constitution actually happened. Look for multiple independent confirmations from established outlets. Check whether official government records exist. Be cautious of headlines that skip straight to conclusions without explaining how those conclusions were reached. If a story claims something historic happened and you can't find a single official document or public vote to support it, that's your answer. Let's be absolutely clear as we close this out. There has been no Senate vote of 68-32 to convict President Donald Trump. There has been no Senate conviction. There has been no removal from office. And there has been no refusal to accept a verdict. The headline going viral right now is false. And this is exactly why verification matters more than volume. If you want political news that's checked before it's amplified, explained instead of exaggerated, and grounded in what actually happened, not just what sounds dramatic, make sure you're subscribed. And if you saw this claim online, comment below and tell us where you saw it.